Hey, what's going on everyone? Jason from Collector here, and I thought I'd do a funny video, which I think will be a funny video, about, my games collection and some of the single games that I've bought multiple times over different console generations. There's very, loads of reasons why I've bought the same copy of, essentially the same game over multiple consoles. Some consoles offer different features and different things that entice you more to get that version. But yeah, over time, I've looked at some of my games and I thought, right, which single game do I have the most versions of? And sometimes it can start off quite simple. One of my favorite games ever is Tenchu on the PlayStation 1, and I love this game. When I used to work in Electronics Boutique when I was about 18, 19 years old, and this game released, I pushed this game hard to all customers saying, you gotta buy this game, this ninja game is awesome. And I loved it so much, I had to buy the Japanese version. Now, there's inherently nothing completely different about the Japanese version. The difference between PAL games and Japanese games, most of the time they ran faster, they didn't have borders around the screen back in those days. But the reason I bought this is because, hey, cool artwork, right? It had cool artwork, and I just loved it, so I had to get it. So I got two versions of Tenchu, but this is just one game, and two versions of one game is nothing. So what I want to do right now is just show you, basically try to work out which game I got the most copies of, and of course, I want you to tell me which single game that you got the most versions of across console generations, and that includes digital versions of those games as well, because yeah, I've got a lot of digital versions of the same game as well. So without wasting any more time, let's get into it. Alright, so let's start off with a small fry, shall we? I have 3 copies of Final Fantasy VI. One for the Game Boy Advance, one for the PlayStation 1, and the other for the Super Nintendo, but this is the Japanese version. Now, of course, I would love to own the original US English version of Final Fantasy VI, but I never bought that back in the day. Just one of those games that escaped me back in the day in terms of actually buying it, but I did get to play it on cartridge because my friend owned it. But it was these versions that I finally got round to playing and completing. Well, most importantly, the Game Boy Advance version. Why did I buy all these versions? Well, first of all, I got Final Fantasy VI on the PlayStation 1. Now, the load times on that game were disgusting compared to the SNES, so I found that nearly unplayable. Then I bought the Game Boy Advance version, which I completed, and in my opinion is the best version. And then I bought the Japanese version just because I love the artwork on it. I'm a collector, to a certain degree, so I love the artwork on that version. That's why I bought it. And then next up we got Flashback. Now, this was my original Mega Drive version. I love this game so much. It's so unique, so amazing. So I got the Mega Drive version. Back in the day as well, I just got the cartridge of the SNES version. Just another great version as well. I just bought it because I just wanted it. And then the Switch version, because this was a limited edition, and I had to get a limited edition version of a game I loved. And it's very rare where you will get nice limited edition versions of classic games like this, so that's why I bought the Switch version. Then another game I own multiple times is the original Borderlands. Got the PlayStation 3 version. I used to own the Xbox 360 version because I played with 2 groups of friends, both on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. I bought the PC physical version. I actually got this. It was actually a part of a little sale in my work's office, actually, where they were just trying to make money for charity. I saw it there. It was 99 pence. I like this game so much I thought, you know what, just buy it because it's part of charity, and I haven't got the physical PC version. So those were those games where, at least some of them, where I've actually got 3 versions of the game. Now we need to obviously step it up a bit more, where I've got 4 versions of the game. And one game I got 4 versions of is Resident Evil 2. So you got the PS1 original there. Great game back in the day. And of course I got the N64 version. Got that back in the day. Great on the N64. Later on, I got the GameCube version. I think at the time where Capcom were just releasing all the Resident Evil games on the GameCube, I was just buying them up. Just because it was great to have all those games on one platform. So I got the GameCube version. And now, can you count the Resident Evil 2 remake? It's still essentially Resident Evil 2. Sure, it's a remake, but it's still essentially the same game. The same name game. So I'm going to class that. So technically I got 4 versions of Resident Evil 2. Moving on to 4 versions of something else. I've got 4 versions of the original Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. That's my original PlayStation 1 version there. Then of course the Dreamcast released. I just had to get this version. Yeah, it's a bit of a this was the pure. I love this game. Looks great on the Dreamcast. I'm gonna get it anyway. Got that. Back in the day, at the same time I bought all these 2 games, I also got the PC version. I just loved Soul Reaver. It was an incredible game. And as you can see now on Steam, I'm actually bought the game on Steam. It was like 97 pence. And I bought it again quite recently actually, and I put in quite a few hours into it, and I'm still enjoying it. It's still a fantastic game. So Soul Reaver, yeah, I got 4 versions of that. Another game I got 4 versions of is Rez. Rez is one of my favourite games. This is my Dreamcast original. Oh, it just blew my mind. This was the future, man, the future. I had to get that game. It released on the PS2. I got this version just because I just loved the game, so I just wanted another version of it. The PS2 version is just nowhere near as good as the Dreamcast version, just nowhere near. So I barely played that one. And then, as you can see now, I've got the Xbox 360 version of Rez, which I put a ton of time into. That was one of my most evergreen games. Loved it on the Xbox 360. And then, of course, Rez Infinite released on the PlayStation 4, which I bought as well. Now, yep, that's the original Rez. Looking great, but it had an extra new level in there, which was just phenomenal. So yeah, 4 versions of Rez, 2 physical and 2 digital. Sticking with another 4 versions. Here's my original copy of Mario 64. Of course I own Mario 64. One of the first games I got when I bought my N64 back in 98, I think it was. And then later on, the game released on the DS. I got this version day one with my Nintendo DS when I was actually out in New York City at the time. Me and my friend both bought US versions of the original chunky DS. And of course we got Mario 64 DS. Played the multiplayer loads of this, and the mini games were awesome. So yeah, this one actually gave you just loads of extras and more value. And I just had to get it. And then, of course, Mario 64 came onto the Virtual Console on the Wii, so I got a version of that. And then I upgraded that to the version that you can get on the Nintendo Wii U, because the upgrade on that was just like a, it's about £1.50 or something like that. And you get access to Miiverse and, just stuff like that. But yeah, so technically, even though I have paid for it twice, Mario 64 digital, one small price and then one bigger price, but yeah. Once again, 2 physical versions of the game and 2 digital versions. And the same thing has happened with Lylat Wars, Star Fox 64. Of course I got Lylat Wars on the N64. It's one of my favourite games ever. One of the best games on the N64 and one of the best on-rail shooters. Then they released that on the Nintendo 3DS, the 3D version. This was actually the first game my 9-year-old daughter, who's 9 now, she was a bit younger when she played this. This was the first game she ever completed. I was so proud of her. And then, of course, once again, just like Mario 64, I bought the Wii version on the Virtual Console, and then later upgraded that to the Wii U version. So here's another game series that I've got 4 versions of, 3 physical and 1 digital, and that is Street Fighter 4. Now, of course, I bought Street Fighter 4 when it first came out on the Xbox 360. This was the original version. Absolutely awesome. And then they released Super Street Fighter 4. And I was just like, oh man, just that name alone, just nostalgia. I had to get it. Loads of new characters, loads of new extras. At the time when the 3DS released, I got the 3DS version. This is actually a really good version of Street Fighter 4, considering I was on a 3DS. And, this goes back to my rants about, Capcom on Switch games. With Street Fighter 5 on the Switch, or at least Street Fighter 4 on the Switch. If you could do it on the 3DS, you could do it on the Switch. And then, to play with my friends online even more, I bought Ultra Street Fighter 4 on the Xbox 360, no, on the PlayStation 4. We got the PlayStation 4 version as a download. And sticking with Street Fighter, here's another version of Street Fighter I have 4 copies of physical. Street Fighter Alpha 3. Got the PlayStation 1 version first. Me and my friends, I got so many stories to talk about this game. I might just do a video on it in the future. Alpha 3 on the PS1, rinsed it. Then got the Dreamcast version, just with the arcade stick. This is just absolutely sublime version of Alpha 3. Once again, loads of stories, playing with my mates. Then I got it on the Sega Saturn. This is the lovely version with the RAM cart. I got this for really cheap way back in the day. I think it's stupid money now, but I'd never sell this. Absolutely my favourite version of Alpha 3 by far, with a Saturn D-pad. Woo! Just amazing. And then I bought the Game Boy Advance version. A bit like Street Fighter 4 on the 3DS, this version just impressed me so much with what they've done on the Game Boy Advance. I just had to get it, and it was a portable version of Street Fighter Alpha 3. How could I turn that down? Now, you all know I'm a big Panzer Dragoon fan. I got the original Panzer Dragoon, the first game on a Sega Saturn. I got this actually after I played Panzer Dragoon 5. It was 5 that got me into the series, but went back and bought this. Still loved it. Panzer Dragoon 1. And then at the same time, during that generation, I've done a video on this. I bought the PC version. Because I was getting into PC gaming at that time then, and it's just a game series I loved. So I got it. And then part of my Panzer Dragoon collection, because I was such a big fan, I bought the Japanese version. I didn't actually play this that much when I first got it, but then later on I just played this version more than any of the others. And then once again, part of the collection, I bought this double pack which got Panzer Dragoon 1 and Zwei in there, so I technically got two versions, Japanese versions of Panzer Dragoon 1. But yeah, that's what I bought. And then you enter the realms of what the fudgicles. Got my original Ocarina of Time here. Yep, this version is signed by Miyamoto. I went to see him when he came to London when he was promoting the Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap. I was very lucky to get that signed with him because the queue is immense, and I was one of the last people who they would let me go up and see him. But yeah, my signed copy of Ocarina of Time there. Very precious. And then when I went travelling around the world, I saw the collector's edition of Ocarina of Time. This is the one with the gold cart. While I was travelling, massive backpack on my shoulders, and you think I wouldn't want to, lumber any more weight around. How could I leave that in the shop? It was so cheap. Had to get it. And then the GameCube released, and they released Ocarina of Time and the Master Quest on here. Now, of course, I bought this for the Master Quest version. But yeah, that's another copy of Ocarina of Time I've got there. And then they later released a promotional disc which had Ocarina of Time, Zelda 1 and 2 on it, and Majora's Mask. Not the best versions of the game. There are some sound quality issues, but I got this because it had the other games on it. And how often do Nintendo do bundles like this of games? They seem to do it more with Zelda than anything else, or maybe like Kirby and Mario. And then of course I bought Ocarina of Time 3D on the 3DS. I completed this. Still prefer the original art direction of the N64 version, but this was a good version. It made some great quality of life stuff. So I technically have 5 copies of Ocarina of Time, all physical, which probably makes this my most owned game. And luckily I didn't actually get round to buying these versions, the version of this game on the Virtual Console and then upgraded on the Wii U. That's one game I didn't do. So I just got these physical versions here. So yeah, I don't know what that says about me. To be fair, my crazy duplication of games has completely wind down quite a lot now, mostly due to time and money, and just consoles themselves giving you better ways just to keep hold of that one single game in the version that you prefer the most. But me being a old school gamer, I still go back to my old consoles, and I'd probably prefer to fire up my copy of Ocarina of Time on the N64 more than any other version. And that's just because of the controller, just getting that cartridge into the console, and just having that just that wave of nostalgia and immersion into the environment where you used to play these games. Sometimes you can have much better versions of games on other platforms, but sometimes it's just nothing better than having the original setup and the original feel of how these games used to work and play. And stuff like frame rate and all that stuff, for the most part, just doesn't bother me with a lot of these games, because I was there, I played them, I understood them, I understood the generations, and that's how it is. So it looks like the most version of the one game I own the most versions of is The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time on the Nintendo 64, as well as a wealth of other consoles. And will I get a new version of Ocarina of Time in the future? For example, if they've done a remake, probably. That's the that's the sad thing, about gaming. You just want to play your favorite games in whatever ways that you can. Remakes can be great for some things, originals can be great for other things. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this video, whether you found it fun or not, and also let me know if you're a freak like me who owns multiple versions of the same games across multiple generations. But as always, thanks for listening, take care all, and peace.